If you ever wanted to know how the Horus Heresy happened and how the Primarchs and Legions fell to chaos, well, here's a short video to give you just that. There are 18 Space Marine Legions and 2 we don't talk about. Of these, 9 turned against the Emperor. Each Legion was headed by a Primarch, a genetically engineered son of the Emperor and superior in every way to anyone but their own brother Primarchs. They all had their own distinct personalities as facets of the Emperor. Magnus is the Emperor's psychic potential and eager mind, unrestrained by patience. Lemarus is his ferocity, untempered by reason. And Horus is the Emperor's ambition, unshaped by humility. So they all had flaws. The flaws bit comes into play quite a lot. When we talk about the fall of legions away from the Emperor, often it was the fall towards the entities that exist in the warp, the chaos godlike manifestations of emotion who have planned and schemed for all time, it seems, to shape what has happened. They use these Primarch flaws, legion uncertainty, ambition, fear, and desperation to turn them. We can start, however, with the word bearers. Lorgar, a spiritual Primarch, saw the Emperor as a god, and his legion took that message of worship to each world they conquered. This was explicitly against the Emperor's wishes of no religion, and eventually gave the word bearers and Lorgar a public and embarrassing dressing down, leaving them stunned and with a hole of what to worship. You can see where this is going. Lorgar and his legion found the ruinous powers within the warp, and while not aligned with any particular one, they saw them as gods to follow. So followed the spreading of a new dark cult and teachings many decades before the fall of Horus. They started and spread warrior lodges around other legions, corrupting Typhon of the Death Guard as just one. The first chaplain Erebus was embedded as a trusted advisor to Horus. He helped to twist his thinking and turned his trusted Mournivel against the Emperor. They were the first to fall, helped pave the way of war, but it wasn't until after Horus faced the Emperor and they retreated into the warp that Lorgar became the Demon Prince. When the Emperor made Horus of the Lunar Wolves the War Master and left the legions to themselves to work back on Terra, this created ripples. His legion changed to the Sons of Horus, and it was at this time the word-bearer's Erebus was there to corrupt his thinking about the Emperor's actions. Horus felt abandoned and that his Space Marines would be discarded, and he had wavering loyalty. The turning point was when Horus was wounded by a Nurgle-corrupted blade, something Erebus had stolen just for this reason. Horus was dying and his sons were convinced into taking him to a temple of sorcerers on Davin's moon. This was a chaos cult, and with the help of Erebus, again, showed Horus fake visions of the future, lied to him about the meaning, and essentially convinced him to overthrow the Emperor to be in charge. He was healed from this undertaking, but his soul was given to chaos. From here, he influenced the rest of the war. Fulgrim and the Emperor's children were focused on perfection and the pursuit of greatness. Already a slippery slope to Slaanesh. The key change happened on taking a city and finding a fiercely defended silver sword. Fulgrim claimed the blade without knowing a greater demon of Slaanesh was bound to it. From that point, the demon inside kept whispering to him and even took control of him for a time. And when his brother Horus convinced him to join them, he was ready to give himself to chaos. Following the Isvan massacre when he killed his brother Ferrus Manus of the Iron Hands, he and his legion openly indulged in the pleasure and body horror of Slaanesh, until he finally ascended as a demon prince before the Siege of Terra, when he tried to sacrifice his own brother Perturabo. Perturabo, Primarch of the Iron Warriors, was not seeking chaos, and openly hated what the Emperor's children had become. Horus turned his brother using the standing and treatment of his legion, as well as his jealousy of his other brothers. He showed him love and respect, and in joining the traitors, they took part in the Isvan massacre together, Perturabo taking Ferrus Manus' Forge Breaker hammer as his trophy. His distaste for the descent into chaos of his fellow legions ended up making him leave the Siege of Terra early, taken to the warp where he still lives, ascended as a demon prince. Konrad Curze, the Night Lords, known for their psychological warfare and cruelty, they were renegades long before the heresy. In fact, Rogal Dorn tried to put Konrad in prison before he escaped, so when Horus asked him to join him, they were quick to accept, however never truly fell to chaos. Following the heresy, he was believed to have been killed by an assassin. Angron and his World Eaters loved war, fighting and death. He was renowned for his lust for fighting, aggression and killing, and even before the heresy, the Emperor had tried to calm him down unsuccessfully. When Horus approached him with the promise of war and being a great leader, it wasn't a difficult choice, especially as he liked and respected Horus. They were the last legion to leave the Terran battlefields when they were fought back after Horus' death. Mortarion and his Death Guard had a strange journey to chaos. The Primarch hated Psykers, and Horus used their closeness to lie about the Emperor and convince him to join their traitor legions. While en route to the Siege of Terra, Mortarion's first captain Typhon, who had long since fallen to Nurgle, tricked the Primarch and stranded the legion in the warp, while horrible plagues overtook them all. Even Mortarion's physiology couldn't hold back the plague, and in a last-ditch attempt to save himself and his legion, he joined Nurgle and became a demon prince. They emerged from the warp completely changed as Nurgle's followers and Plague Marines, and once Horus was killed, they withdrew back to the warp as one legion. For Magnus and the Thousand Sons, you could probably say they were forced into following chaos. However, their story starts quite far back. Magnus has a mastery of psychic powers, and so did his Gene Seed Legion. Encouraged by him to learn, use, and master his skills, they did have a gene flaw, however, that meant too much psychic usage or contact with the warp meant they went through horrible mutations. This ravaged the Legion so much that Magnus went to the warp to find the knowledge to cure his sons. He did in fact find the power and used it to stop further mutations from occurring. A bit of foreshadowing here, but the power was actually Tzeentch, unbeknownst to Magnus. Magnus saw nothing evil in the warp, only knowledge and power. The Emperor, however, thought differently, and at the Council of Nicaea essentially banned the use of psychic powers. During the fall of Horus, Magnus came to him in spirit to try and help him and stop this happening. This failed, and so he tried to warn the Emperor on Terra. Using his immense psychic might, he tried to connect to the Emperor, but he was blocked by a psychic shield that even he couldn't break through. Again looking to the warp to give him power, and again receiving it from Tzeentch, he was able to smash through the shield and reach the Emperor. In a split second he realised what he had done and returned to his body, but the damage was done. The shield against the warp and demons was open, and they flooded into real space and terrorised Terra until the Emperor could resurrect the wall. He wanted Magnus bringing before him for justice and sent Leman Russ and his Space Wolves to do so. Horus, now fallen, but still the War Master as far as anyone was concerned, intercepted Russ and ordered him to wipe out the Thousand Sons completely and destroy the homeworld, something Russ did with relish. In the final moments of the battle, broken and beaten, Magnus used his powers to take his Thousand Sons into the warp to live, while for himself his soul was shattered. His sons searched and brought his warp-dwelling soul shards back together, manifests as Magnus the Demon Prince. They found all except nobility, his good side. A shard left on Terra when he broke the shield wall. Magnus joined the Siege of Terra just to get back that last greatest shard, but he never achieved it, and remains a Demon Prince. The Alpha Legion are a strange one. Do they follow Chaos or do they not? Well, actually, Alpharius and Omega, the twin Primarchs, actually followed Horus under the intention of winning the war, and Chaos losing in the long run, saving the galaxy, versus the Emperor winning, and in the end Chaos taking over and enslaving humanity for all time. So ultimately they became traitors to destroy Chaos. Very weird. Both Primarchs were killed in the Great Scouring after the Heresy. I hope you like this type of video. This has come from my joy of the lore, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.